Tony, congratulations on your final game. How good did it feel to end on a win?
It feels very good because it rounds off the career. I'm told that my first class match was in 2003. It was a national counties match. It was against Yorkshire at Headingley, and two notable people from the club now were in that match. John Stevenson, who scored a single and not out, and Anthony McGrath, playing for Yorkshire, who didn't score on that occasion. But that was a massive win for Essex. They won by about 157 runs. And so to finish off today, it seemed suitable that we should finish on a win, so I've top and tailed it.
Absolutely. Talking of some memories then, could you pick out a few favourite? You've certainly had quite a few high moments, but any that particularly stick in your mind?
Yes, there's a lot of high moments that stick out. I mean, the one moment that will stick out is the promotion in 2016. Historically, we'd been promoted in 2009 by 1 point over Northants, and came into Division 1 for the 2010 season. Unfortunately, we didn't do too well there, and we came back down again. So when we came up in 2016, just about everybody, I think, thought we were going to do the same. But that was also the year that what I term the dangerous duo came into being, because Simon Harmer came to the club in 2017 and Jamie Porter started coming to the fore, and the combination of those two was lethal in that 2017 season. Out of 14 games, we won 10 and drew 4, so we went through the whole campaign undefeated. And in terms of the difference of points between us and second place Lancashire, 72, I think that's approaching a record for that difference.
When you started doing the job then, back in 2002, could you imagine that you'd end up doing it for 2 decades?
No, when I joined the club, I actually joined the club as a steward. There was no thought of me becoming a scorer. It was just that my predecessor as scorer had also worked for the same bank as I did. And it was he who introduced me to the club as a steward. And when his predecessor left, I said, I don't think anybody will be needed to run around after you like you had to run around after Clem Driver, who was right. But if the club wants somebody to just see what you do for emergency use here at Chelmsford, then I'd be interested. And that's how it started. I was steward in the Premier Suite up behind me, and I was allowed to leave the job there at tea time for 2 days on a 4-day match, come over here and see what David did. So I came in for a net, or what I thought was a net, in 2002, and I sat up on the back there, and David came in and he said, would I like to score the match, because he'd had a party the night before and he didn't feel all that well. So I said yes, of course, and I scored the match for the morning, went up to the players' restaurant and was met there by Tony Choat, who was then the second team coach and manager. And he asked me if I could score a second 11 game for him the following week at the Parks in Oxford. I looked at my diary and said, yes, as far as time is concerned, I can do it, John, but I think there's 2 things that I ought to say to you at this point. I said, the first one is I'm going to have a massive player recognition problem. I mean, the first 11, I was used to seeing them from the suite over there, and I could name all them, but second 11 trialists. So he just said, well, you've got a mobile phone, haven't you? Give me a call. I'm always on the go. He said, what's the second thing? Now here's where complete honesty came in, because I said to him, well, believe it or not, John, but today is the very first day that I have scored a cricket match at any level in my life. Right? I'm then in my mid-60s, so And John just looked at me and he said, "Well, you scored this morning, haven't you?" "Yes, John." "Any problems?" "No, John." "Good enough for me." He said, "I'll see you next week." And that's how my professional scoring career started at Essex. I scored the second 11 2002 through 2004, and then David unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer, and he gave up in my favour, and I've been first team scorer ever since.
Well, Tony,
and enjoyed every minute of it.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, I think it's fair to say that everybody connected with this club appreciates your service, and we wish you all the very best in your retirement.
Thank you very much. It'll be a retirement from there, but I'm sure that you'll see me around the ground. Like a bad penny, I'll roll up sometimes.